All right, we are beginning the sixth round here, and it has been a run of quarterbacks throughout the fifth, and sort of getting the feeling now. If you're one of those without, got some pretty slim pickings. You see, last selection we have right now is Larry's Lindicki pick, and it looks like we got another pick coming in here. Maybe. Did we already have? Yeah. We already had a pick here ahead of time, but into the sixth, I believe. But we'll get that confirmed in a second. I think there's another pick right here, either at 12 that's already been picked. Maybe it was D-line. So interesting fourth and fifth round today. Picking up where we left off last night. It's really the final cigar of the weekend. We picked up where about here, Detroit, with John, right there. And we talked a lot about the halfback, fullback groups. And as you can see here, a number of them went. So John went at 53. Since then, we've had only one halfback group go, but a mess of fullback groups. 7. Not all for running. Oh, by the way, most with at least a hint of running involved. Significant majority of them anyway. So the first pick was Tyke, and that's a great pick for Tyke. And probably an important pick because I think if Willie would have gotten him or Dennis would have gotten him, they would have been able to set up with a deep quarterback and really have a dynamic offense. Even if Hokie is limited on carries, I think this will keep balance a little bit more. Tyke went New Orleans fullback. Bob went for the best kickoff return unit. Also picked up a defensive back. See here with the Jets, I mean, a little early, but can't blame them. With Bobby Humphrey here, rocking it out. With a kick return that's going to pay dividends, no doubt. Not many touchbacks in the set. And then also picked up strong safety Kirk Springs, who's a 4. And Bob has yet to pick his DB unit, so he'll find one, presumably with a 3. Then Willie went Chicago fullback, which you get Matsui, not much going on there, really. I mean, he's okay. I think he fumbles a bit. You pick up the best tight end in the set. And what I like about Emory Moorhead is that the single best tight end. Okay, by the way, I mean, in case you're wondering, he is highest in expected yards. So you take completions and yardage together, you add them up, right, wrong, etc., put some assumptions around it. And we'll do that more maybe on a wrap-up show after the draft, but look at that closer. But it's really nice to have the luxury of splitting them out if you want. So, it's a really strong tight end card right there. And helps with matchups. The pick for Dennis was Biner and Newsom. Still needs carries otherwise. And so does Willie, of course. Sort of a middle of the road pick there. Biner, not really. Biner's got carries, big fumble. You're not going to scare anybody to death, the card. But he can get yards, no doubt. If he didn't have a fumble, he'd gone much earlier. This unit would have gone much earlier without the fumble. So avoid the fumble, in good shape. Indianapolis linebackers for John. So that pushed, and we'll check defenses in a little while, but no way to get good with Indianapolis that I'm aware of. So that made John average. Let's see, we're looking at, average no matter what in the run. I'm pretty sure average no matter what in the pass for John, who's still looking for his DBs. Then Chicago O-line for Nicholas. Made sense. Fouts is a nice quarterback. I mean, these are just three nice quarterbacks up here. Just luxurious quarterbacks. All of them have decent flat passes. It's not the end of the world that he's stuck with Chicago O-line. Not the end of the world. Toby goes Atlanta special teams, picking up a 4 defensive back, which I assume complements St. Louis. Take a quick look at that. St. Louis's DBs have a 3 at strong safety. Atlanta's special teams bring a 4 strong safety. So get to bump up the values there. I haven't updated for that. Green Bay linebacker, great value pick here for Greg. So I for one approve of that pick, but tough sledding elsewhere. Nice to pull off Green Bay and Pittsburgh, but it's still, I think, only yields you average, right? Average. But at least you're getting the pass rush of Green Bay's 12-5 outside linebacker, who's a 5. Yeah, who's a 5 defense, and the 6 who's there is an 8 pass rush. So it's nice. It's usually your 6 you're going to the blitz, right? Well, not in the case of Green Bay, which is a nice little feature of that group. It's a high value pick. This is a pick that could have gone earlier. Detroit for Joe. Yeah, I mean, I did not have Detroit up there. Just didn't in the rankings, and Danielson is the lead guy here. Not that he's bad. I mean, look at a good flat pass. Elevated picks is what I think dragged him down versus those around him. Special teams for the Rams. So Ken loading up on wide receiver now with Ellard and Drew Hill joining the Miami wide receiver core. I went Washington OL and Chicago quarterbacks. I considered Chicago in the 3rd round. Decided, I thought McMahon is just a great expected yards number. Need a good O-line for him, though, and I don't have it. So my McMahon pick is more about Fuller than it is about McMahon, honestly. Fuller has the best flat pass card in the set in terms of expected yards. You see it there. It's not like he's all +7s or anything, but when you add it up, you do the math. He's got the highest expected yards for the flat. Problem 2 and 12 long passing is just not useful deep at all. Low INTs is nice. Minimum fumbles for both McMahon and for Fuller. 1-6, 1 snap, 6 guessed right. They have a 1 team fumble. That's pretty good. You see McMahon here. I mean, to unlock your must runs, you need to go offensive line. So, I got problems there. And the reason I held back from this team from the start is just I want a 4 long pass completion. Guessed right. Not getting it here. Okay. So, late in the game, tough sledding if I'm down. Getting a big pop from the receivers or a big run. I don't have my receivers yet. Now, the Washington O-line selection here, and it's an interesting O-line. And look, and this is not the bee's knees. There's nothing great about this. But what's interesting about this team is Russ Grimm. Okay. That's why I selected him, because you get a 5 pass block. I wish it was 7, but it's 5. And he can play any of these positions. The only thing he can't play is right guard. Everything else he can play and give me a 5 pass block. So if I got a problem spot, I can move him over. He'd be backfilled at center with, left guard, ultimate with a 2, I believe. So I'd go something like, if you went to center, 4-2-5-3-2 along the line. 4-2-5-3-2. Not ideal, obviously, but you can move them to where you want to move them. And that's a nice little bonus. And the other big bonus, of course, is the run blocking on this squad, which is strong. You get 2 6s. I thought, where are they? Did you not get 2 6s? Left guard. 6. Yeah. You can't trust this. Our ratings file is more trustworthy than the league manager, right? Look at that. Left guard, 5-6. So if Grimm stays where he is, I got 2 on the left side of 6s. Really helpful for this far down the draft. So that's why I went Washington. Finally saw value there, and pulled the trigger. Compare that to Chicago that went a little bit before, and I haven't done this comparison, so I'm just curious. Looks like no interchangeability on the line. Yeah, I don't see how it's that much better, especially because I can move Russ Grimm around. Coming back, see D-line picks here. Howie Long. Ken gets Howie Long. Great weapon. Makes a lot of sense for a team that's not going after ratings. Is Indianapolis linebackers and Raiders defensive line. Ideally, you want to pair those 2 up. If you could. Didn't work out that way. As John picked the Indianapolis linebackers. Ken gets Howie Long's nose tackle and end 12 pass rush. Joe went with the Jets. Can't say I was very familiar with the Jets defensive line. Take a quick look here. See Gastineau. Nice, 12-11. So bringing some real pass rush there. Joe, I think, ends up good with that. Yeah, so Joe is the second good excellent. So me and Joe have good excellent. Let's compare the teams here. I got a halfback. He's got San Diego fullback, Ernest Jackson. He has Detroit quarterbacks. I have Chicago. He does not have an O-line yet. So on that basis, it's because of the San Francisco DBs, which meant that I did not have to take a linebacker in the second round like Joe did. Because of that, there's that slight edge for the Jeffs, at least in the cards. Pittsburgh DBs for Greg. Raiders fullbacks for Toby. Let's take a look. Can't say I was very familiar with the squad. Never really rose up toward the top for me. You've got Frank Hawkins as your 108 carry fullback. 3% fumbles. Okay. Do you bring you blocking? Not really. Neither does Kenny King. 5 run block. And then the tight end position is Todd Christensen. And his 80 catches. And supposedly that's why you get this card. Maxed out flat. Maxed out short. Good long. So picked up Christensen. Pittsburgh wide receivers picked up Louis Lips as your 3rd receiver, but also brought you a punt return touchdown. So Nicholas's squad, Fouts, McNeil, Pittsburgh, looking really. Chicago OL is a little bit weak, but overall, fireworks in the skill positions. You compare that with Ken. Ken doesn't have a runner yet, and he's got McNeil. So Nichols, I think, sitting in a pretty good spot comparatively. John came back with Minnesota fullbacks, and you get Steve Jordan, still coming up, not full strength Steve Jordan yet in his career. Running perspective, picks up 2. Alfred Anderson, who gets pulled off the special teams unit. He brings you some, okay carries. Ted Brown, a little bit of blocking. 98 carries, can go deep. Alfred Anderson is also a 4-2 on the blocking. Now the quarterback run really gets full swing. Started really with Joe. You see Joe's break point here was up at 62. We had nothing from 24 all the way to 62 in quarterbacks. 162 hit, 62 through 81. We've had 7 go. So we had 5 as of pick 61. And now sitting at pick 81, we have 12 off the board. So Detroit started it, then Chicago, and then Dennis came back with New England. I thought Sims was a better match because of the offensive line. Doesn't mean that Eason's actually a better quarterback top to bottom. So you're just taking the best pure quarterback here in terms of expected yards. It's Eason. 4 and 5 guessed right completions deep with that 7-laden offensive line. Compare that to Sims. He's going to get you an extra completion deep as he goes 8-9. So there's a little surprise there, but it's not a disappointing pick. He took the number 1 quarterback on the board. Okay. Willie went with really a 2-man receiver crew for the Green Bay Packers. Take a look here. Green Bay, this is with Miami, the only one off the board. Green Bay ranked as having, if you just wanted 1 receiver, the best wide receiver, James Lofton in the set. If you want 2 wide receivers, best in the set. When you go to 3, you see him drop off to 6. Okay. John Jefferson, just not the John Jefferson you'd want him to be. Not a big drop off down to 6, but you're playing for 2 wide receivers here. Not going to have a big third guy. He already has Moorhead. So he's kind of your third receiver. Okay. But in a 3 wide receiver halfback formation, you still see Jefferson in the ballgame. There's Sims, now paired with the good San Diego O-line. You've got a DL, you got no linebacker yet, and you got a safety coming in to plug in later for Bob. Tyke went with Theismann, best on the board at that point. John comes back with the St. Louis wide receivers, and let's take a look at St. Louis's ranks as we were looking at them before. St. Louis, second best single receiver in the set in Roy Green, dropped to 7th when you look at 2, dropped to 12 when you go to 3. Butch, New England fullback, gets Craig James and Derek Ramsey. Okay, those are your headliners here. So, nice solid. We talked about New England extensively. Pros and cons in this unit, but gets 160 good carries from Craig James. Fumbles a little bit, but, look at that. Nice columns. And then Ramsey's an interesting fellow. Just good tight ends all the way around here. Ramsey can line up his blocking back. Doesn't give you pass block there, but he can do it. And see that. And why would you want him blocking back? Well, because Hawthorne. Is it Hawthorne? There's another good. Yeah, Hawthorne gives you yards. Lynn Dawson, 39 catches. Pretty good too. Not great, but you basically can go block and back and get 2 of these tight ends in the game. When you look at tight ends from the same perspective, New England's tight ends, if you look at all 3 of those guys together, if you're using 3, which you don't, second best in the set. Okay, really, you're going to use 2 of them, and it becomes 5th best on the board at that time. Okay, so not including Chicago. See, I took a number of them off here. So number 1, if you wanted to, would have been Cincinnati. Aren't they already gone at that point? No. So Cincinnati, but Cincinnati didn't give you the carries. That this is just pure tight ends here. So Cincinnati doesn't give you the carries that Craig James gives you. Same thing with Miami. Same thing with the Giants. St. Louis, same, I believe, not as good as Craig James. So, top 5 makes sense. Houston quarterbacks for Dennis Young. Look, I mean, at this point, as far as I'm concerned, it comes down to Houston or Denver. So Green Bay taken later. Just depends on the strength of your O-line. There go the Chiefs wide receivers. A good pick for Erie. I like the Chiefs wide receivers. I've been eyeing them. The problem with Houston is snap fumbles. But they're better overall than Denver. Denver gives you Kubiak, who's a good flat passer, doesn't fumble. And Elway is a snap fumbler as well. So Houston probably the right call. What you lose is Kubiak late game, low snap fumble. You can put him in and feel good. Okay, that's what you lose. What you get is better overall quarterbacks in terms of the card. Tampa halfbacks, Brian, that's tough sledding. I mean, we talked about Wilder yesterday. Ton of carries, just highly unspectacular. You're not getting many run calls here because of the card. Not many. I mean, you're not. 7-7, 5-5, 1-1. I mean, match. A lot of matches, right and wrong. And if you go wrong, I mean, the worst that's going to happen is pretty much a short gain. Larry goes Atlanta fullback, Green Bay quarterback. So turning away Denver, going to Green Bay, and there's a reason for it. And you can see, I mean, these 2 picks kind of go together. It's a high risk, high reward offense is what he's setting up. Dickey is laden with long gains and laden with interceptions. So 7 blank on flat. Does he have the offensive line to carry it? Not really. Riggs, great card, big fumble. Good carries, 353. Way up there. Solid card. Around the end, he can do some damage late in the half. We're at the 57, so some explosion there. It's not like a long of 23 in here or anything. But you're not going to be running the end run all that often, I guess. It's not a bad end run right column. It's not great either. But probably looking for line buck. And in there, you hit snake eyes, you're going for 7 yards. You hit 12, you're going for a yard. So you have problems in the card, but definitely the best card out there right now in terms of just looking at it. He says the fumbles. So you can get some run calls, though. People hunting for that fumble. In which case, you could unleash Dickey now. Got the wide receiver selection here of KCA. I think they're my favorite, best 3 wide set in the league. So I like this pick a lot from Brian here at 82. You see receivers starting to go here since 70. So looking ahead now, what are we going to see? Well, first question, who needs quarterback? Butch does and John does. So we're going to see Butch probably go Denver quarterback here, if I had to guess. Let's just spend a second on that. Now with Houston gone, now with Lindicki gone, number one available is John Elway, 4.42 expected yards. A little bit of weight behind him. There's some room there is Bill Kenny. Plus you pick up Gary Kubiak, who has the best flat pass currently out there. And which was second overall in the set. Steve Fuller being one. So, that's a good enough combo. If I'm Butch, I'm feeling okay about salvaging Denver at this point. After that, John is going to have to look to somebody like Bill Kenny, Joe Pisarcik, Jaworski, Dave Craig. Your best long passer is Kenny out there, ranked 1. Ranked 2 is Elway. Ranked 3 is, where's 3? 3 is Jeff Kemp. If you're looking deep, if you're looking for flat passers, it's after Koobs, it's Archie Manning, then Pisarcik. Tough. Let's just look at Pisarcik. Who gets paired up with Jaws. Tough sledding there. You see the decent deep ball. Supposedly good flat pass, not really. Jaws. He's got that 8-9. Big pick. The big pick is what's bringing him down from Elway and Pisarcik. So Pisarcik technically rates out as a better long pass when you count the INTs, factor that in at -40. All that's sort of done mathematically, and then you also get a little must-run action from Pisarcik, but nothing to write home about. So you see the lower pick. But, the situational guys, at this point in time, it's a good way to go. Because, hey, you're down late in the game. You don't care about the pick so much. You need to just get some yards. You put Jaws in, right? Otherwise, you're Pisarcik, okay? Willie's got a quarterback. Anybody else? Let's see. Greg needs one. So, quarterbacks, you've got apparently 4 guys. Butch. Oh, Brian. Brian passed on the quarterback. Okay. So Brian's likely to be our last quarterback. So he passed on the quarterback instead got Kansas City. So I don't know. I mean, I would have got Denver here. Probably could have. As much as I like KC wide receivers, as much as I like that pick, KC, but you need to get Denver there. For Kubiak's flat pass alone. I mean, as much let's look at the wide receiver groups. It's just not. There's rankings, of course, but there's less separation here than others. So if we were to update this, we won't update it yet. But KC number 2 for 3 wide receivers among those left. Pittsburgh gone now. Actually, it was number 1. Rams have already been broken up. So after that's going to be the Giants. So, but 31.5 is your expected yards, right? Versus 32.1. I mean, these are slim margins. So come back later, Come back later and get Seattle at 28 and get your Denver QB to at least get Kubiak working in the flats a little bit. At the very least, you have that in your pocket, which is good and safe and nice. And Elway can bring you a little more splashiness if you need it. Next pick belongs to Dennis. He needs runners. The halfback rooms are not full for all but a couple ahead of him. He's going to have to go halfback here. I don't see a way around it. Who to take? It's Greg Bell is your answer. That's my quick answer. My longer answer is going to be, I don't know, let's see. Atlanta's now been broken up. So they're basically gone. Denver's still out there. New England's basically broken up. San Francisco's still out there. Let's see, anybody else here that matters? I mean, Cleveland's basically off the board. Cincinnati is good for other things and not really good in running. So here's the overall rank when you include pass block, receiving, running, everything. Cincinnati's 1, but they're 10th in pure running. And you're going to need a pure runner. Buffalo's apparently the 3rd. 1 is San Francisco, but a big fumble. That's not counting fumble, this little column. 2nd is Denver and Sammy Winder. Apparently better than Greg Bell in pure running and in overall. So let's just compare these two. For Dennis's sake here, Winder and Bell are your headliners. Bell, you got nothing else going on. Where do these guys pick up margin? So let's see. Buffalo with the better linebacker wrong, with the better off tackle wrong. Buffalo better pretty much across the board. Is that right? Why do they come off as number 2? Let's see here. What am I missing? Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, I was comparing the wrong guys. So tight in linebacker. Tight. It's the right running. Both are just neck and neck. End run right. Denver gets some separation, but I mean, if you look at Winder's card, there's not much there. So I think it's just a short gain on 7 or something. That's the difference, which I shouldn't say just. It means something. Both don't fumble very much. Neither team blocks. Both teams go deep. You're getting more carries out of Denver. Again, you don't get much support behind Greg Bell. All you have is Rob Riddick, who just has nothing. You get this kick returner. He's still in play. Not much there. Can go deep, but that's it. So you're not really getting any help. Denver, fullback's already gone. So you get Winder. He's your headliner. Okay. Gerald Wilhite. He's got a pretty decent card, does he? No, it should be a little better. You're not going to be falling in love with that card. Gene Lang, host of a game show or two. Card Sharks, maybe Gene Lang. Yeah, I mean, Winder, to me, is not very thrilling. I like Bell's card better. Talked about this a lot yesterday. I like Bell's card better. Numbers put them neck and neck. Problem if you are Dennis is that you need carries. So is that enough? He's got 265 or something. Let's see, 262. But that still might feel light if you're Dennis. I don't know. I don't know if Kaufman was worth it for Green Bay fullbacks. If you didn't get Jerry Ellis in that group, which you did not, sort of puts him in a tough spot here. Let's just go down the list a little bit more for the halfbacks. Am I missing anybody else? Talked about Wendell Tyler. Tampa's gone. New Orleans lost Campbell. Cincinnati. I mean, who's bringing you carries? Who's left? If carries is a priority, Cleveland, although I think that counts Biner in there, so don't believe that one. New Orleans lost their best fullback, but he was fullback only, so that might be correct. No, he lost Campbell, though, like I just said. St. Louis, but man, they're rough. Let's see. I think Stump Mitchell's already gone too. So with Stump Mitchell gone, you're losing a bunch of carries here. Yep. Piecing it together, it comes back to Buffalo or Denver. So Buffalo or Denver for Dennis. Denver quarterbacks for Butch. John needs quarterback, fullback, D-line. I mean, it depends on whether you can live with two quarterbacks, because Greg's the only guy ahead of you for John. Tyke needs halfback still, which would complement his great fullback. Might be the time to get Buffalo or Denver, the one not taken, right here, if you're Tyke. That's what I would do. I wouldn't try to. Again, receivers. There's some receivers you can fall off those receiver cards, but when it comes back around, who you're going to get is not going to be so much worse than the guy you could get now. Not true for halfback. D-line, I'm not sure of the situation here. He's got 3 ahead of him. Maybe that's the reason to go D-line, because you got to worry about these 3 guys. Maybe, I don't know for sure. There, I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh guaranteed good, so I'm guessing Tech doesn't have to worry about it. So it'd be halfback for me. Bob, with Marcus Allen, not desperate for carries, but I'm not sure what the situation is here. A linebacker, Dennis doesn't have to take one. I don't have to take one. Locked in. I know both of us are locked. I think Denver's locked as well, meaning we don't have to take one to the last round. So might be able to slip by and maybe go DB instead. It depends on some numbers. I'm sure Bob's in them. I'm not going to break them down here. Willie. Who needs carries desperately. He's got to hope Buffalo or Denver don't go, or else he's going to be looking for, looking to St. Louis or somebody like that. Cincinnati. Wendell Tyler over in San Fran. They're going to look at the San Fran. Big fumble for Tyler. So nice card, but big fumble. Nice-ish card. I mean, that's a great. Derek Herman at halfback. Yeah, we looked at him yesterday. Tough. He needs carries. Dennis could use some carries too. I think it's going to depend on who's taken ahead of him. Whether he goes for it here, if all the good ones are wiped out, he may look elsewhere. Boy, a lot of guys need halfbacks. Man, Dennis Young is sort of in the catbird seat, whether he realizes it or not. Where he can escape with Greg Bell. Others want him, need him. Interesting. But we'll stop it there. This is our last major consequential set of rounds 6, 7. 8, 9, 10 is mostly cleanup. Not much difference among the kickers and punters. No need to reach for them, in my opinion. Take a quick look at that. Look at the break point. You see kickers, just basically nothing in terms of separation at all. Number 1 group, Seattle. but they're just 8% better than average. Battle Royale, we were up at 15-20% better than average for your number one. So this is a pretty tightly packed group. Right behind, this is 50-50 for kicker punter. Okay, and this is looking at returns and touchbacks and everything else. Okay, coverage, blah, blah, blah. Everything's built in here. But then splitting kickers 50-50. Sometimes I give a little more to the place kicker than the punter. But just given 50-50, you see here that bad punter for Seattle, 24% better than average kicker. So someone might fall in love with Norm Johnson here. That 24% might be a good reason to go after Norm for somebody. You're not going to get a good punter with him. Jeff West he's going to have some trouble. He doesn't get blocked, but he's going to have some trouble. Norm Johnson, pretty solid kicker. Kickoffs seems like average to me for the set, maybe a little bit below. But not a big reason to stretch for any of those guys. Because when you add it all up, there's just not that different. All right, getting sleepy here. We will see you soon. Perhaps one more time in draft before we do a full wrap. Have a good night.
Big opening for Tony Dorsett. Look out, he's got great speed. 99 yards and a half. Dorsett down the sideline. Stays in bounds. Can you believe that?